What is up, though, Lions fans? It's your boy, Motor City Don P. And one thing is for sure that when you see me, you know that the Motor City Cats, we back at it. We came to give you stats, not none of that static. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. We got a show today. It is not a packed show. Uh, I just realized that I put the wrong date in. I put my date in. I didn't put your date in. Um, you just said I got an echo. Okay, I know why I have the echo. 1 second. Fear not. All right, what about now? Is the echo gone? It should be gone. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing. You know me. All right, so we got a show. It's not necessarily a packed show. As you see, it is titled Detroit Lions News and Rumors April 9th. Now, I had April 10th up there because I had my date. I just realized that. So I had to go back into the past, it was a movie called Back to the Future. And they went in the past and then they went to the future. So I've gone back in the past to change the date. And then we're going to go back to the future to talk about these Detroit Lions. So we're just gonna run down some of the news and the rumors that the Detroit Lions have swirling about. It is a very exciting time in Detroit Lions timery. It is a very exciting time of the year when there is so much to talk about and so little to talk about at the same time. This is the lull of the offseason where we have the draft coming up in 15 days. We got 2 weeks until we get to the draft. All right. And when a few more people get up in here, what up, though, Tactical Sport? And the other people that are in the chat that are not chatting, just watching, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share. And once again, I've done it. I've forgotten to share the show. So let me go ahead and share the show. All right, let me get X to come up. But I got a little bit of audio. And that audio comes from none other than Amon-Ra St. Brown. He was on the Coldest Balls podcast with one Kevin Hart. Now, I don't know if y'all think Kevin Hart is funny. I don't think he's really funny in his stand-ups, but he's a funny person. All right, there were multiple points of this episode where I was just cracking up. I don't like the stand-ups because really the stand-ups are pretty much the same, right? When you've seen one of them, you've seen all of them. So they got kind of stale for me. But Kevin Hart, genuinely funny person. So shout out to him. All right, let me post this. The hashtag. I want the hashtag. I take the hashtag too now. Just we all like money. And let's see. All right, go ahead and post that. Now I have shared it successfully. All right. Can we trade Broderick Martin for a 7th round pick? I don't know that anyone would trade for Broderick Martin, but it's possible. All right, let me go ahead and get to this audio. Now, the audio is funnier than DL Hughley. DL Hughley is not funny. Let's just call a spade a spade. DL Hughley is not funny. And you know who else is not funny? I do not find Steve Harvey funny. I've disliked Steve Harvey since the original Kings of Comedy when he was yelling at the audience. He was like, "That's funny. I don't care what y'all say." Once you have to do that, you know you're not funny. All right. So, but this audio is a topic. And I know I don't have the people in here right now who I need to be talking to, but it can get clipped. It's going to be up on YouTube. Y'all can go to my channel at any time. Y'all can watch it. Y'all can get this smoke because I'm not shying away from the smoke. All right. So I'm going to play the audio and let me know if you can hear it. All right. I'll let you know when it's playing. I'll pause it to be sure it can be heard, and then I'll keep it going. All right.
Who do you like on the lines?
Barry Sanders.
So go back to your Eagles. What were you saying?
And Megatron.
All right. Can y'all hear that? Okay. That's where the whatchamacallit, the echo is coming from. All right. Let me play it. Pay attention to the question that's asked and the answer.
Okay, so you and Megatron, that's why y'all got the weapons.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, what happened this year?
Washington, they played a good game.
Yeah.
We had some turnovers. You wish you could have those back, but they took care of the ball better than us. I think that's really what came down to. I think we had like 4 or 5 turnovers, and I don't think they had one.
As a leader on the team.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, which I'll say he knows ball. I'm just curious as to, do we think that Amon-Ra St. Brown knows ball? Because if we think that Amon-Ra St. Brown knows ball, you would hope he knows ball, right? He's a professional NFL football player who plays for the Detroit Lions, and he gets paid handsomely by the Detroit Lions to know ball. I think he knows ball better than many, if not all, of the people that talk Detroit Lions, that talk sports, that talk whatever they talk. If you are a Detroit Lions creator, if you are a Cincinnati Bengals creator, if you are a Philadelphia Eagles creator, a Washington Commanders creator, and so on and so forth, I believe that you can comfortably say that Amon-Ra St. Brown knows more ball than you. Now, if you are a creator that is a coach and you've been coaching for 20 years plus, then you might be able to say, you know what, Amon-Ra St. Brown don't know as much ball as I do. But I don't think that those are the people that I'm talking to. I'm not talking to the people who've had 50 years in or 20 plus years in. I went from 0 to 100 real quick, right? I went from 20 years to 50. But I'm not talking about those people, grizzled, seasoned vets who want to talk about their coaching acumen and how many people have gone from their program to the NFL and all these people. That's not how I'm talking. I'm talking to a certain segment of Detroit Lions fans who will have you believe that Amon-Ra St. Brown is a liar. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Amon-Ra St. Brown did not tell you the truth in that clip, according to certain people. Because Amon-Ra St. Brown, when asked by Kevin Hart what happened, and we know what he was talking about. Amon-Ra St. Brown knew what he was talking about because before that he was talking about how loaded the Detroit Lions were and blah, 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 blah. What happened in the divisional round of the playoffs? And he said Washington played a good game. He wanted to keep it PC. And then he gave you the actual answer. He said we had a few turnovers. I mean, you want those back. It is what it is. But I think we had 4 or 5 turnovers and Washington didn't have one. Well, lo and behold, a man who played in that game, specifically in that game, a man who you believe was going to be one of the reasons that we would come back and win that game, right? Because nobody had us losing that game. None of the fans, even after the second interception, we thought, hey, it's all good. Now, after the 5th turnover, we were like, you know what? Probably ain't going to be our day, fellas. It just ain't going to be our day today after the 5th turnover. So a man who was an integral part of that game, the man that you thought was going to lead the charge and help us get back in that game and come back from 4 of the turnovers, like I said, maybe we'll say 3. Okay, 4 and 5, that was a little bit dicey. Okay? This man sat up here and told you that the reason that the Detroit Lions lost the football game was because of the turnovers. He said it. He said we had, at the end of the day, we had, 4 or 5 turnovers? He knows he had 5. And Washington didn't have 1. That's it. That is it. What up, though, 313 Thug Living? So Tactical Sport says Osama bin Johnson's call didn't help. As a matter of fact, his throwing pass on 3rd and 1 led to one of them turnovers. I know what you were talking about, but I won't pardon Johnson of any wrongdoings. I won't pardon him either. Right? He's Osama bin Johnson for a reason. He's a terrorist. Okay? He's a terrorist. I'm not going to excuse him. Okay? But this is the thing. So many people will sit up here and tell you that those turnovers didn't have anything to do with anything. Now, let me paint you a different picture of what I'm saying. Amon-Ra St. Brown fumbled. Jahmyr Gibbs fumbled. Jameson Williams threw an interception. David Montgomery fumbled. And who else? Let me see. Who Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta fumbled. Okay, that's 5 turnovers, right? If that was the case, then you know what would have been the reason that we lost the game? The turnovers. That's all I'm saying. So if let's recap. If Amon-Ra St. Brown fumbles, if Jahmyr Gibbs fumbles, if David Montgomery fumbles, if Jameson Williams throws an interception, if Sam Laporta fumbles, then all of these fans will be very comfortable saying to you that the reason that we lost the game is because of those 5 turnovers that we had, and Washington didn't have any. Isn't that something? That it depends on who turns the football over for us as Lions fans to accept the fact that if you have 5 turnovers and you don't force one, you will most likely lose the football game. But the who, the name on the jersey on the back, not the one in the front, the one on the back, that is what dictates whether or not you will accept the truth of the matter. And the truth of the matter is that the Detroit Lions lost the football game to the Washington Commanders because they lost the turnover battle 5-0. Right? If the turnover battle was 5-4, hell, if it was 5-5, the Detroit Lions probably win that football game. If the turnover battle was the Lions 2 turnovers to the Commanders 0 turnovers, I still believe they win the game. If it's 3-0, then it gets a bit dicey. But definitely 5-0 is not something that you typically come back from. Oh, but we did it earlier in the season, but that wasn't the playoffs. That wasn't the playoffs. So am I right in saying that the name on the back of the jersey matters to Detroit Lions fans? And I don't, I'm not trying to poo-poo on anybody. I just want y'all fans who are not realistic. I want y'all to be more realistic and just say, man, you know what? It's football. That's the thing that we love about football. That's the thing that we hate about football. It is not a series. When you get into the playoffs in football, it is win or go home. That is all that it is. It is not a series. It's not the best of two, which I don't know how you could do that, right? It's not the best of three. It's not the best of five. It's not the best of seven. It is the best of one. That game that you play on that Sunday afternoon or that Sunday evening or that Saturday afternoon or that Saturday evening is the only game that matters. There are no other games. There are no do-overs. There are no get-backs. There are no, oh, well, we'll get them when we go home. No. So when that happens in football and you play a bad game at the time, then you lose. That's how it works. Right? It's win or go home. Survive in advance. You win the game or you go home and watch the rest of the playoffs on the couch. Okay? If it's the Super Bowl, you win the game or you go in the locker room and cry while the confetti is falling on the field, while people are standing up getting, the Super Bowl the Lombardi trophy presented to them, while Roger Goodell is over there congratulating them and all this other stuff. You either win it or you don't. So for people who want to cast blame on others but don't want to cast blame on some, we need to stop this. Right? Someone who sits up here and talks Lions football and tells you the truth should not be castigated, right? Should not be slandered and called out of his name because, I've been called a casual. I've been called a golf-phobic. I've been called a lot of things for telling people the truth. Well, guess what? Right? I got something to say. I can't say it. You know what I'm saying? I'm from the small town called I Wishing Wood, and y'all making me homesick. Okay. I'm going to tell you the truth, bro. If the team sucked on 1 week, I'm going to tell you that they sucked. However, if it's a 15-2 team and we play the Bills, I come in here and I tell you after the game, they sucked. I told you during the game, the energy was off from the start of the game. They didn't match the intensity of the Buffalo Bills. Does that mean I hate the Detroit Lions? Does that mean that I'm calling them a bunch of bums? Does that mean anything? No, it was a 15-2 team. First 15-2 we've ever seen. And a lot of people don't see 15-2 because we haven't had enough 17-win seasons to make it commonplace. But I'm going to come up here and I'm going to tell you the truth of what happened. If we're talking about games, I'm going to tell you the truth of what happened week to week. Last game was terrible. They got beat 49-0. This game, phenomenal. They won 64-0. Because that's the way it goes. It's week to week in the NFL. You know how an injury can be week to week? Well, the performances are week to week. Right? J-Mo's my favorite player. You know what I'm saying? Official keeper of the J-Mo. I didn't agree with his decision to throw the football in this situation, but I also didn't agree with the decision of Ben Johnson calling the play. It was a stupid play call. You just scored on a reverse that looked exactly the same. Do you not believe that the defense was going to be on heightened alert? See, Ben Johnson thought that the defense was just going to fall for it again. Oh, man, strike while the iron's hot. The last play that we ran on offense was a reverse to J-Mo, and he took that thing to the house. Now we're just going to set up the same thing, and they're just going to overcommit to the run, and he's going to have the backside receivers streaking across, and it's not going to be any coverage. No, Ben, that's not how playoff football works. That's generally not how football works. If someone gets you with a reverse, you could call it a trick play or a gadget play or whatever. I think it's fairly commonplace, but we'll call it a trick play. If someone gets you with a trick play and then you just turn around and run the same damn look, they may be a little bit slow to react, but I don't think that they're going to over pursue and over commit and be like, oh, these dudes trying to do it again. Who would do that? Right? unless you've exhibited that type of play calling throughout the season where you do a play that works and then you go right back and you do it again. Unless that is your play calling and they have tape and film and they be like, that is your, proclivity, right? That is your prerogative. You can do what you want to do. It's my prerogative. If you know, you know. If you're too young, you don't know. Okay? All right? But unless those are your tendencies to say, well, I just ran a play and I'm going to run the same damn play because you couldn't stop it then. I was involved in a high school football game in which my offensive coordinator, who I hated, by the way, but, anyway, I was running a 26 dive or something like that. Other team couldn't stop it. So guess what? We ran it like 4 straight times. We ran it until it resulted into a touchdown. We went play action, okay, and then hit the receiver down the field. But that's on tape. What was not on tape for the Detroit Lions and Ben Johnson was to run a reverse that worked, because we've run multiple reverses with J-Mo that have gone to the house or jet sweeps or what have you. And we don't come right back and run the same damn play again. We don't do that. But again, this started with me saying J-Mo is probably my favorite player on the team. And I don't agree with his decision to throw the football. But he's also not a quarterback, and you put him in a situation. Amon-Ra St. Brown said on his podcast, anybody not throwing the football should be J-Mo. Out of all the people to not throw a football, it should be J-Mo. Because his arm ain't like that. Okay? So, like I said, my favorite player, but I'm not going to sit up here and say, hey, man, that play that you did was awesome. Right? Hey, it wasn't your fault you threw the pick. Yeah, it was, because he threw it. Instead of throwing it away, I understand in the moment, he's not a quarterback. He's not used to the pressure of the situation. He should have known to throw it away. The coaches should have told him. And under no circumstances do you try to force this ball into coverage. If you don't see it, chuck it out of bounds. Right? Coaches should have told him that. He should have had the wherewithal to do that, but he didn't. And he threw the pick. And that was a turnover out of 5 of them. It counts, just like the rest of them do. Am I wrong? Let me get to some of y'all comments. So 313 Thug Living says, do you think J-Mo being inserted as wideout number 1 this season will propel the offense to the Super Bowl in spite of Goff weakness and immobility? Bro, as long as you can get the ball to your playmakers, I believe that you can get to the Super Bowl. You just got to get it to them consistently. And Goff did that all last year. That's why we were 15-2. We didn't advance past the divisional round because it wasn't a good game for Goff. 4 of those 5 turnovers came at the hands of Goff. Okay, it wasn't a good game. Does that mean he sucks? Does that mean he's terrible? No, he just played a bad game. It's okay. It's okay to say a player played a bad game. Show me a bad game that Barry Sanders played, and I will tell you he played a bad game. And y'all know how I feel about Barry Sanders. I call this man my football father. My favorite player ever in Everdom, and there is no one that tops it. Megatron is the only one that comes close. But not close to topping it. Close to my love for Barry Sanders. That's it. But if Barry Sanders was in a Super Bowl and he fumbled the ball on the 1-yard line and we lost the game when we had a chance to win, if he had just held on to it and gone in to score the touchdown, Barry Sanders cost us the Super Bowl. I don't care who it is. Now, if we have a situation like I had a situation in high school where my quarterback, I made the perfect pocket. My quarterback hit me in the elbow with the ball, and I got blamed for the fumble. No, he hit me in the elbow. He doesn't know how to put it in the pocket. If it's a situation like that when the exchange it's the quarterback's fault, then yeah, I'm going to say it's the quarterback's fault. It wasn't Barry. Right? Barry opened that pocket and the quarterback turned around and hit him in the face mask with the ball and dropped it. That's not Barry's fumble. But if it gets clean in the pocket and Barry gets stripped, right? It was Barry's job to hold on to that football, and he didn't. Because you don't believe that people were trying to strip Barry all throughout his career? You don't think people were punching at the ball, swiping at the ball, grabbing at the ball? You don't think those things were happening? Right? If he was met at the line of scrimmage and he tried to spin, and when he did that spin, the ball came loose. Okay, Barry. The spin probably would have got you in the end zone, but guess what you needed to have when you went across the goal line? The football. It's okay. We can criticize players. It doesn't mean we hate them. It doesn't mean we're saying that they're terrible. If you have a bad game, you have a bad game. If you had a bad play, you had a bad play. You know? Mike Tyson got knocked out by Buster Douglas. Does that mean he's the worst boxer in the world? Had a bad fight. Didn't train properly. It's okay. It happens. It's okay. All right, let me get this. 313 Thug Living says 5 turnovers. 4 J-Mo threw an interception. Right. I didn't say the 5 turnovers were on Goff. I said we have 5 turnovers total. Okay. Bobby Brown, he killed Whitney. Yeah, you know, it was some crack involved. 313 Taylor May says at 313 Thug Living, and folks just want everybody to ignore that part. Other clubs saw the same sequence that I saw too. Taylor made facts. All right. So, you know, this is the sensible crowd that I have in here today. Like I said, I've been called stuff that just don't make no sense. I've had people unsubscribe because I came in here and told you the truth. Well, I'm sorry if you don't like to hear the truth and you want to unsubscribe. It's sad that, you know, there are people out there that only want to hear sunshine and rainbows. You know what? I only want to talk to you about sunshine and rainbows. I only want to talk to you about Lions Super Bowl wins. I only want to talk to you about this stretch of dominance of 10 years where the Lions went to 10 straight Super Bowls and won all 10 of them. I want to talk to you about how the Detroit Lions have been the most successful franchise in all of sports. I want to talk to you about how our current team right now, after coming off of 5 straight Super Bowl appearances, has not one, but 22 Hall of Famers on the team. Because everybody across the board, from the offensive line to the quarterback to the running backs to the wide receivers to the defensive line to the linebackers to the secondary, every single one of those players is going to wear a gold jacket. Guess what? That's not the reality. So I can't come in here and talk to you about that. Just can't do it. It's not going to happen. That's not football, right? This is not Mutant League, and you got the top mutants on your team, and no one else can beat you. This just ain't it, right? Yeah, I had to get on my soapbox today because, as I said, I seen the Amon-Ra St. Brown interview with Kevin Hart. They was in the cold tub, and Amon-Ra St. Brown spoke on it. So I had to come in here and speak on it too. Because if you're going to sit up here and tell me that Amon-Ra St. Brown is a liar, you need to have your head checked. Taylor Made Media says Barry Sanders is in the Football Hall of Fame, though. He is. 100%. He's in the Hall of Fame of all of our hearts, too. You know, us objective Lions fans. There are still Lions fans who are butthurt about how he left. I blamed Bobby Ross. And you know what? I was right. How many head coaching jobs did Bobby Ross get after the Detroit Lions? After he ran Barry out of town? How many? You can count them on one hand. Can you make a fist to represent 0? I would say you can. Check that. The Pro Football. Yeah. He was a pro's pro. You know? But if he does something wrong, we can speak on it. Doesn't make him a bad player. Doesn't mean you hate him. If I hate the player, I'll tell you. Not a Matthew Stafford fan. Y'all that know me, would you believe that I was a Jeff O'Hell No Cuda fan? Would you believe it? Don't think you would. Not afraid. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a renegade. Never been afraid to say what's on my mind. You know what I'm saying? Never been afraid to holler about anything. Anything. Renegade. You know what I'm saying? I say what I got to say. All right, let me get to some of this news and rumors that I promised y'all today. Now we've got Lions GM calls out struggling starter ahead of potentially replacing him in the NFL draft. Who is this? Tactical Sports says, I'm still butthurt over Barry leaving. And yes, I blame Ross, but I'm still butthurt. Well, I mean, we've had to move on, but it was Ross's fault. You know, Ross is a jackass. You come into the greatest running back of all time, and you go, I think the problem is we need to give you a fullback. Let Barry run how Barry runs. Like, let him don't change the offense. The offense was not the problem. You know, maybe change the quarterback. Maybe change Scott Mitchell and get somebody better. Maybe do that. Right? Scott Mitchell likes to live in revisionist history land. He's like, Barry wasn't perfect. No, Barry wasn't perfect. But when you got to the playoffs, Scott Mitchell was 6'4". He played like he was 4'4". Okay? That's how Scott Mitchell played in the playoffs. All right? $313 Thug Living says, that's why I appreciate this podcast. I appreciate you too, 313. I appreciate all the people that appreciate me. All right, Tactical Sport, you're gonna like this one. Now, the title is wrong because it says Lions GM calls out struggling starter ahead of potentially replacing him in the NFL draft. This person is not a starter. He never has started. He's not even starting bench. Okay. He starts in inactives and healthy scratches. That's what he starts with. So right off the top, Broderick Martin's Lions career hasn't. All right, so gotta make that big. Hasn't quite gone to plan. Martin, who the Lions drafted in the 3rd round, number 96 overall of the 2023 draft, has only appeared in 5 games so far. He appeared in 3 games, starting 2 in his rookie season, and then only 2 last year. You see how the clickbait works? Because he started 2 games, so he's a starter. A man that has played 5 games in 2 years is a starter. Okay. Barry Taylor May says, I tuned in to watch Barry Sanders specifically touch the football. Can't say the same about Jared Goff. Sue me. But, you know, if, again, the dynamism is what you're looking for. If you're tuning in to see a quarterback play, you're looking at a Patrick Mahomes. At some point, you were looking at Tom Brady because while Tom Brady wasn't flashy or particularly exciting, he won 7 Super Bowls, and he did it with a multitude of receivers. Guys, as Skip Bayless would say, 3 guys from Dorchester. You just go up, hey, you come down, and I'll turn you into an All-Pro. So, Tom Brady had a different gift and a knack for the game. That's why he's the GOAT. But I get what you're saying. Um, is it about getting rid of Broderick Martin? Yes. Yes, it is. Agreed. Barry, Mega, and JMO all have that must-watch TV gene. Exactly. Whoever wrote that article should be voted president. Well, he definitely can spin zone. Some of it has been injury related, but there have been more than enough healthy scratches, as I said, already to make fans wonder if Martin really has any future with the Lions after all. With Detroit probably in the market for some defensive line help in the draft later this month, it's not unreasonable to think that maybe Brad Holmes and the rest of the Lions front office may already have plans to move on from Martin. And that speculation certainly didn't get any quieter last week when Holmes was asked about Martin's role while at the annual NFL owners' meetings. His answer was telling. It sure seems like the clock's ticking on Broderick Martin's time with the Lions. He says, obviously, you guys all know I was very clear and transparent that, he was more in the developmental project bucket when we took him, Holmes said. But, now it's time for him not to just, because I hate these quotes, bro, because the way they talk, because he brought flashes in the preseason. When he came back from his injury, he brought flashes, but, he had some low points as well. We need to see more of the consistency of the flashes, and he just needs to be a consistent player. And, okay, there's a lot of ands, and he knows that. We've had transparent conversations. And so he knows that he needs to be a consistent player. He's got all the ability, he's got all the physical tools to be a consistent player. That is damning. Essentially, Brad Holmes is going, now we were quite clear with the man, okay? We've been quite clear with you, player. It's time for you to poop or get off the pot. Because if you ain't pooping, you ain't doing nothing. You just sitting there. And other people need to use the bathroom. That's basically what Brad Holmes said in this quote, right? Because, like I said, if y'all want to see me be the official anger translator for Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, let me know. I was going to do some videos when I was elsewhere, but I didn't think that they would be appreciated because I don't think that is the type of flavor that certain people are used to. You know what I'm saying? Craig Mack, brand new flavor in your ear. I'm kicking brand new flavor in your ear. Craig Mack, brand new flavor in your ear. All right. He doesn't have a future with the Lions. Facts. I stopped watching the NFL for years after Barry Sanders hung him up. Didn't start again until maybe 3 or 4 years ago. So there's that. I had a similar situation when Jordan stopped playing. Even though I hated Jordan, I kind of realized what he meant to the game of basketball. And then that's when he gained my respect. I hated Jordan with a passion. Obviously, Detroit Pistons, we don't like Michael Jordan. But yes, I did respect him after that. But giving up on football is not something that I could do. It's in my genes. Yeah, 313 Thug Living says, I'm not mad at you. If it wasn't for me being a diehard Lions fan, I would have stopped then too. Yeah, I don't know what I was feeling. Probably it was probably just a blur when he did leave, and I probably didn't have any real emotions for the team. You know what I'm saying? It was so many years ago. I don't remember my exact feelings, but I'm was it 1999? Yeah. So dejected, when he left, pissed off at Bobby Ross. Just didn't feel the same watching Detroit Lions. Just didn't, not at all. All right. So the Broderick Martin thing, again, The problem with Broderick Martin and the reason that people don't like the pick is because he was picked in the third round, and there are a lot of other players who were picked in that very same round who went on to be impactful for their team. I forget who it was. I don't know if it was Broderick Martin per se, but there was some pick, and after that pick came Yahya Diaby. Right? So would you rather have Broderick Martin or Yahya Diaby on your team? If you have Yahya Diaby on your team, guess what these guys mean? All the Shamar Stewarts, all of the, Mike Greens and the James Pierce Jr.'s and all of these people, Michael Williams, you know what they mean to us, really? Nothing. Because Yahya Diaby is a dog. Now, he does have injury concerns. He does get nicked a lot, which means I don't understand why the Detroit Lions didn't draft him, because Brad loves his injured players. But that's the reason. At the time that we made the pick, I didn't care too much about it. I knew that he was a project, but you expected from Broderick Martin to be what Manu is, right? Manu was a complete project, like he was playing in British Columbia last year. Okay? So then when we draft him, we understand, but now Dan Campbell is talking about seeing what he can do at guard. Because obviously Manu has changed, transformed his body and everything. I mean, it wasn't really a transformation. He just got bulkier. He was already a physical freak, right? But he had to learn the game of NFL football from the sidelines, from the classroom. And again, if you're talking about playing him at guard this year, because you've lost Kevin Zeitler, right? And you're talking about, well, Christian Mahogany can do it and maybe even throw some Manu in there. Well, that means that they're high on you, right? If they're talking about you need to poop or get off the pot, that means you're probably going to get fired. You about to lose your job. Right? And I don't take any pleasure in the fact that he's about to lose his job. But he just didn't develop the way that apparently Manu has. So this is what we expected from him, and we didn't get it. So now the pick is very wasted. It is a very wasted pick, right? I hope he turns it around. I'm not rooting against the young man. I hope he goes out and has a phenomenal year and he proves everybody wrong and, he proves Brad Holmes right. But this is the reason why I've said, Brad Holmes, please stop drafting these projects in the third round. If you want to get yourself a project, get him in the sixth. Get him in the seventh. All right, I say seventh because James Houston was a sixth-round player and he got you 8 sacks in 7 games. And then he got injured and he was never the same. Right? I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to believe the reports. And there were mixed reports. And there were people saying, they went to training camp and they didn't really see the bend and all that from him. But I guess it never came back. So, all right. The Lions were unwatchable for a few years after Barry left. The Lions, yeah, they've been. But, if you stuck through 0-16, you stick through anything. You know what I mean? I watched every single game of 0-16. I did. Not proud of it. I'm not proud of myself, but I did. I sat through it. Some would call me a masochist. Some would say I like pain. But just like a lot of you, we all sat through it. So we're all masochists. Well, if you are a fan of the Detroit Lions, you must be a masochist. 313 Thug Living says, I hate Jordan still to this day. I've just learned to respect him for his greatness as I've gotten older. But Hakeem is the most silky smooth player I've ever seen. That's number one in history as far as I go. I met Hakeem on one occasion. Anyone over Broderick Martin, you about to lose your job because you are detaining me for nothing. Broderick Martin is from Western Kentucky, probably didn't play much competition in D2 or whatever level that is. But these NFL scouting departments ain't some guy with a bunch of Excel spreadsheets. Well, that's why I said he played at Western Kentucky and wasn't playing against the greatest competition. Manu literally played in British Columbia. Like his college was in British Columbia. So imagine who he was playing against. Broderick Martin was playing against NFL players compared to uh who Manu was playing against. You know, that was D2 Western Kentucky, Western East West Mount Bumblefudge College, you know. They were like NFL players compared to the freaking BC players. And Manu was just ragdolling them. Ha. Ha. You know what I'm saying? Just throwing them out of the way, throwing them to the side. Do I know? I did not know that Hakeem's son plays for U of D. This is interesting. Um, Hakeem is one of those players that, like, if your son needs to change his name, you know what I mean? He don't need to be running around named after you. Because he's gonna have all the types of expectations, just like Jordan's kids. They should not have, if you playing basketball, your name is Jeffrey Jordan. It should have been Jeffrey Muhammad or or something. You should have just changed it to something way far away from Jordan. Um, no matter if you build yourself as an independent draft analyst or not, that doesn't make you a part of any NFL club scouting. I feel you, bro. And I finally got to read your comment about grilling the moose, and writing all the articles and all that. Yeah, that was funny. That was funny. Um, so I just figured out I can just go from my phone and I can do the comments for whatever reason on the computer. I can't respond to them. So um yeah, I'll just make sure that I check my YouTube studio on my phone. All right. Let's see another article here because I promised you Lions news and rumors. All right. Lions could target former Bears edge in free agency. The Detroit Lions are continuing to seek out potential help at the defensive end position. At the annual league meeting, general manager Brad Holmes expressed the team was still searching in free agency to address areas of need. According to ESPN, free agent defensive end DeMarcus Walker recently visited the team's Allen Park Performance Center. Walker, 30, was selected by the Denver Broncos in the second round of the 2017 NFL Draft. The defender also had stints with the Texans and Titans before signing with the Chicago Bears in 2023. He secured a 3-year, $21 million contract with Chicago that also included $15.65 million in guaranteed money. Releasing Walker prior to the start of free agency saved the Bears $5.916 million against the cap. In 17 games last season, the veteran defensive lineman recorded 47 tackles, 16 quarterback hits, and 3.5 sacks. Throughout his 8-year career, Walker has played in 100 regular season games and made 42 starts. He's tallied 109 career tackles, 26.5 sacks, and 40 tackles for loss. So I just right. Okay, let's do this one. Playing for current Giants defensive coordinator Shane Bowen in 2022, Walker arguably had his best career season. He was able to secure 32 tackles and 7 sacks, with both being career highs. I'm not excited about the potential signing. Last year in 17 games, the man had 4 sacks. 3.5, sorry. And I believe he started in all the games. I don't want someone who can get 4 sacks in a 17 game period. Zadarius Smith played for the Detroit Lions for 8 weeks and had 7 sacks. I'm sorry, 4 with the Lions. And you've gotten 3.5 in 17 games. You're not doing what we need you to do. You're not. Stop it. I don't want to see this man. Stay over there with Osama bin Johnson. What up, though, Alex Zimmerman? Haven't been hearing a peep about Brian Hitman Branch. I believe that injury he suffered to the end of the season is career threatening. I didn't think he suffered an injury at the end of the season. That was iffy. Did he suffer an injury? That was iffy. Because Iffy went out and Morris Norris came in to play for him in the divisional championship game. Or divisional round game. Sorry, divisional championship. Divisional round game. So, yeah. I don't think there's anything about Brian Branch. I could be wrong. I mean, there were so many injuries. I don't remember a Brian Branch injury. 2 weeks before the playoff game, Brian Branch played in that game. What do you mean? I'm sure of it. Hold on. Mm, yeah, I don't see too much. Yeah. Said Branch is not hurt, had a little calf strain. BB played, he got hurt during the game. Wasn't he cramping or something? But no, it said a calf strain. 2 weeks before that was Chicago, and he definitely played in that game. Calf strain. Okay. Let me see. Calf strain. Yeah. From the 18th of December, I see that he's nursing a calf injury. So the injury initially happened during the Bears game. But yeah, I'm sure he played in the Commanders game. Calf strains in careers if they pop an Achilles. Yeah, I think he's good. I don't think we have to worry about Brian Branch at all. The one thing that I do worry about Brian Branch with is the penalties, bro. Brian Branch this year, stop with the 15-yarders. You know what I mean? Like the one he got ejected for in the Packers game was so much light work. It was so much light work. It didn't make any sense. But like he will crash out, bro. He will crash out and get you a 15-yard penalty when you don't need one. You never need one, but he'll get you one. Yeah, that's the only thing I worry about Brian Branch. That's the only thing I've ever worried about Brian Branch with is just some of his penalties are kind of boneheaded, bro. Um, that Green Bay one again, like I said, that was light work. I don't even think it was an illegal hit at all. So that was hating on BB. For with the ejection, yes, for sure, for sure. But we still won. That's the thing. The NFL, tried to cheat us this year, and we still came out on top. We beat the brakes off the freaking Dallas Cowboys, and that was a lot of pent up aggression. A lot of pent up aggression from the year before because the NFL cheated us out of a victory. They tried to do it again this year with the Packers. Didn't work. Didn't work. All right. Let's see. Get another article in here. See what else we got. 3 more articles about the Lions hosting DeMarcus Walker. All right. We're gonna look at a proposal. It says proposed path for Lions to add young QB would fully signal end for Hendon Hooker. It was Hendon Hooker. It was Hendon Hooker who got picked, but we could have had Yahya Diaby. That's who it was. Brian Branch is a different type of animal. Can't all be choir boys back there. I don't need him to be a choir boy. I just need him to be smarter, because a lot of those are personal foul penalties, right? Some of them happen after the whistle, so you just got to be smarter with what you do out there. That's all. All right. If you're willing to read the tea leaves dating back to last offseason, the Detroit Lions don't think Hendon Hooker can hold down the fort. If something happened to Jared Goff, actions speak louder than words, and actions say they know drafting an older quarterback prospect who was coming off a torn ACL in the 3rd round was a mistake. Finally, at the recent owners' meetings, Lions general manager Brad Holmes did not sugarcoat Hooker's tenuous status as the number 2 quarterback moving forward the 2025 season. So in a tweet from Eric Woodyard of ESPN, Brad Holmes says adding QB Kyle Allen is comp for Hendon Hooker to win the QB2 spot. They didn't feel he was ready for playoffs, still got high hopes for him, but nobody's going to be given a job either. He said, so if Hendon wants to be the number 2 QB, then win the number 2 QB job. Ooh! Ooh! Where there's smoke, there's fire. Brad Holmes said, Hendon Hooker needs to poop or get off the pot. Needs to poop or get off the pot. Remember when people thought that Hendon Hooker was brought in to replace Jared Goff? Remember, I was one of those people. I thought what we saw from Hendon Hooker in college was going to translate to the NFL. But for whatever reason, it has not yet traveled to the NFL. I will say this. Hendon Hooker developing would be more of a win-win, I guess, for the Detroit Lions. You don't lose the trip, or you don't lose the player. And then he's able to be successful as a backup quarterback. With the Broderick Martin thing, it would provide lots of depth on the defensive line, but I think that's what Roy Lopez was brought in for. So I think it's kind of Hendon Hooker. I mean, we saw what happened when what's his name? When David Blau was in there and Tim Boyle, we saw how things happened. So I would say just be a little bit more patient. Um, the pick is not going to be at number 28. It's not going to be a quarterback. Okay. So just be a little bit more patient. Goff is here until he's not. Goff is here. He's going to continue to get contracts. They're going to continue to throw their support behind him because if you're thinking about winning now, there is no other quarterback who's available that's going to help you do that. Okay. Now, if we were going to trade for Patrick Mahomes and it was just Madden GM where you could turn off all the trade rejection, that would be fine, right? If we were going to trade for Pat Mahomes, if we were going to trade for Josh Allen, if we were going to, trade for any of these top tier quarterbacks, then it makes sense. However, we're not doing that. Okay? We're just not doing that. Let's see. Brian Branch is a different type of animal. Oh yeah, I read that one already. So Kirby needs to be every. Kirby needs to be more a more physical. Needs to be more physical this year in the secondary, similar to Mark Carrier in Chicago. Okay. Tactical Sports says I only wanted Hooker to get a Hooker Lions jersey. In college, he was in a one read system. Either the throw is there or run the ball. Let's see. All right. So in college, he was in a one read system, either make the throw or run the ball. Never thought it would mount to anything in the NFL. Hit the like button. Yes, please do that. You need to have a QB with Hendon Hooker's skill set on the roster. In today's NFL, the Jared Goff's is a, what does that say? Play away from someone else getting the snaps. Well, I think everyone's a play away from someone else getting the snaps. That's just the way it is. All right, people. I am going to head back to work. It used to be with the daylight savings time situation. I used to be 16 hours ahead of you guys. Then I was 15 hours. Now I'm 14 hours, right? Because our daylight savings go like this. Okay. So when you come forward, we go backwards. When you go backwards, we come forward. It goes this way. All right. So, yes. So, let's see what else this is. Terrible mistake to sign Goof McVay is a genius. I don't care what anyone says. He bamboozled Holmes, and I believe Brad is secretly embarrassed by it. I'm not as low on Goff as you are because he's, I think he's elevated his play since he got here. When he first got here, I wanted him on the first thing smoking out. But I think he's good enough for you to get to a Super Bowl with. I mean, look at the NFC Championship game in 2023. Okay? We didn't lose that game because of Goff. So, and had we just held on for the last 30 minutes of the game, then we win. So, I mean, I feel you. I understand. Not a golf guy. That's cool. This is a safe space. You can say that. All right, guys. I'm gonna head on out. Um, like I said, I'm gonna try to get this app done. I don't know if I'll get it done by Friday, but that's the hope. That's the plan, so we can actually, see what it's gonna look like, and you guys can decide if you want to sign up for it. And guess we can do some tests and try to figure out how it's going to run. If it runs properly, we're good. If it doesn't run properly, we're screwed. And we got to go to walk the mock. Walk the mock. Okay. Again, if you are doing the draft, make sure that you go in to the Discord and you say in the group, the all 32 mock draft business or whatever it's called, register to drive and so you have to go to walk the mock, you have to register, and then you have to pay a $5 subscription, and then you can do all of that. So let me know if you are doing that. As I said, I'll try to get this app together. We are 15 days out from the draft, so we definitely should be able to get the app done before then and see if we're going to be able to do our own live mock draft on air. So that would be dope. But anyway, peace and longevity, says 313 Thug Living. Dan Campbell is challenging Jared Goff to take the next step for a reason. Well, he wants him to take the next step. Wants to win a Super Bowl. All right. Appreciate you all. Motor City Cats back at it. Came to give you stats, not static. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. And we are out. Peace.